Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namassami. Okay, so tonight, Saturday night, double header. Last night was our lunar observance night, and so there's a talk and a vigil last night, and a regular Saturday night gathering. It's also still quite close to the commemoration ceremonies of Ajahn Chah, as you can see by the picture shrine that we have for him as a recollection. It's the anniversary of his passing, and of course, at Ajahn Chah's monastery, there were many thousands of people gathered for the occasion, and from January 12th through to the 17th, and here we had a small gathering as a recollection as well, a reading from Ajahn Chah in the morning, and we watched the old documentary, The Mindful Way, of Ajahn Chah, and so that my mind is still recollecting, sort of, and rejoicing in the memories of Ajahn Chah and their especially in reflecting on how impermanent memory actually is, and how selective. We think because we've actually lived in a situation, or it's that we can actually remember it, and but of course our memories are one very selective and very unreliable. I was thinking also somebody sent me a transcript of an interview they'd done with something from my past, or the time when I went to help the Jay Siripong, the person on death row in San Quentin just before his execution, and spent several days, and it was her recollections of it, and it was very nice to read it because it was a good reminder for myself, but it was also interesting to see again, memories are different. Memories are different things were highlighted or seeing things from different angles, and it's I mean that's the nature of human experience, and we are born into this with this body and mind, and we extract different things out of it. We get obsessed with different things about it. We get upset about different things about it, and then we remember different things about it, and whether or not we create suffering around it, that's more the aspect that the Buddha is trying to get us to pay attention to, seeing things in their true nature. And their true nature is that it's even the faculty of memory and perception are impermanent, unstable, uncertain, inconstant, and I was reminded of that when I was in Thailand and went to help or went to pay respects to one of the senior monks, Ajahn, and then he started relating a story with me as one of the central figures. Myself and him were requested by the Sangha to go down and fix a problem or pay respects to the Supreme Patriarch, because we'd managed to get on the bad side of whoever was the palace official coordinating the funeral ceremony for Ajahn Chah, and he had told the quite untrue, told the Supreme Patriarch and said, that they don't want you there for the funeral, and that was absolutely not the case. It was and we had to go out down, and I had absolutely no memory of it, which makes, on a certain level, makes no sense. You would think having I had glimmers of memory, but then he would, especially as he was telling the story, and it's right, totally forgotten about it, and but that sense of memory is so uncertain, unreliable, but it is important to pay attention. I'm thinking particularly with say, like for myself, Ajahn Chah, my teacher, and for all of us who are have some kind of faith, respect, confidence in Ajahn Chah, in the Thai forest tradition, in Buddhist practice in general, that it's these very human qualities, human beings. The Buddha's teaching isn't really about some abstract philosophy that we try to sort of hammer out the logic so we can make a case for freedom from suffering. It's more, what does it mean to us on a very human, personal level, on an experiential level? What value is it? What purpose is it? And so that the examples of these human examples are very important memories to encourage ourselves. And so somebody like Ajahn Chah, one of the things that he was quite keen on, or had a real integrity about, is he didn't really want to try to cover over any particular flaws, faults, difficulties that he had with his practice, because sometimes that's how people, spiritual practitioners, get remembered. I say somehow they were born into the world pure, and then they just blossomed from there, and then they radiated light, and everybody was happy. So which is really, how useful is that for us? And Ajahn Chah was quite keen to not gloss over or cover over any difficulties that he had. He spoke very openly about his own struggles with doubt and uncertainty, his own struggles with aversion, ill will, his own struggles with sensuality and sexuality, and I think that is one of the things that to me that inspired so many people, because it was very tangible, very real, and one could relate to his own difficult, because he always, because he would give himself as the example of that this practice is possible, yes, as a human beings we have all sorts of obstacles and difficulties and flaws and foibles, but that can all be worked with, that can all be understood, that can all be seen clearly, it can all be let go of, and it doesn't have to. We don't have to define ourselves by that. We can see through that. We can really penetrate the reality of those qualities and really free the heart. So that there was one point where he was in his struggles that he had, say, dealing with sexuality, and he was just tormented by fantasy and lust I was just kind of sexually aroused for this long period of time of several days straight, and then he spoke about it openly, and then one of his disciples was starting to pull together a biography. This was early days, and it wasn't a hugely comprehensive one, but it was the first attempt at a biography. And he came to Ajahn Chah and said, I don't know if we should be putting this into a book. It seems a bit, might be a bit much. And Ajahn Chah said, well, if you don't put that in, there's no point in doing the book. It's that sense of, no, this is very real, and there's no point in glossing it over, because he felt it was important to point out people, and with himself as the example, that he could be. One can free the heart from whatever particular defilement. Same with he spoke quite openly, but he struggles with anger and but then also where kind of this one time he just really lost it. He saw a novice misbehaving, and he just he took after the novice. He started running to which is very unmonkly behavior, and even if you're just jogging for fun, but running after a novice to catch him, and then he anyway, he didn't. The novice was quicker than him, but then he felt such tremendous remorse that he went and he didn't come out of his kuti for didn't come out to eat, didn't come out to talk, and he was just and after that, people said, the monks who lived with him said that he never had those same displays of anger and that there's this cooling. So that's that acknowledging the difficulties that we have, and but also recognizing that there isn't anything that's permanent. There isn't anything that's. And I remember for myself one time asking Ajahn Chah, because remembering that story of his difficulties with sexual desire, and how did he reflect on it, understand it, what insight did he have that sort of just trying to get a handle for myself, and he said, well, he said it was just being really patient and reminding myself that it's got to be impermanent. It has to, at whatever state it is, it has to be impermanent. So that some things he had these very penetrating insights, and things fell away, and others you wear them away, and I think it's just a natural tendency, a natural process for all of us. And so that, but that sense of having both a kind of confidence in the practice of faith and confidence and in the practice, in the teachings, but also having a willingness to be patient with the because some things don't reveal themselves immediately or quickly, or it takes time for them to reveal themselves. So this sense of being willing to be patient, and that was definitely the case for probably most of us, going to Ajahn Chah and asking for advice on practice and trying to get the sort of the quick, easy method, and so we can go right to the insight and the letting go bit, and him saying, you really have to be patient with this practice. You have to have a sense of steadiness in the practice, and let this patience be the foundation. So it's and patience isn't just putting up with stuff, but willingness to be present with the experience, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, whether it's wanted, unwanted, and to be present with it with mindfulness and investigation. that word satipanya, sort of like truth discerning awareness, and as we're able to apply that quality of knowing and awareness, that things really start to unfold. And so that Ajahn Chah's, again, he's this sense of him being somebody who was, he was born into a fairly ordinary village in the northeast of Thailand. Nothing particularly special or outstanding. He's one of, can't remember, six or seven siblings, and he did have certain qualities that were he was drawn to Dhamma, drawn to the Buddhist teachings, but it's also just that sense of taking that human existence of being born and taking our experience and reflecting on it. Is this really is the purpose of our life just to try to get squeeze a little bit more pleasure and comfort out of this human existence, or is it for really understanding the nature of this human birth and learning how to transcend the human condition. Not in the sense of pushing anything away, but that it's in that learning, understanding, the ability to be within the whole range of human experience and not be shaken and not be moved by that. And I think that was certainly one of the qualities that inspired certainly all of us who stayed, I would think, or most of us who stayed, and witnessed Ajahn Chah as a teacher, because he was in the midst of many people. Ajahn Chah's monastery was quite a large gathering of all sorts of diverse people. Usually there'd be about 60, 70, when I first arrived, 60, 70 monks, 60, 70 nuns, constant stream of lay people coming. But Ajahn Chah was sort of in the middle of that and not really shaken, not really moved, not really. He was engaged because he was always available to give advice, to teach, to encourage, and to support the practice and the training. And I think that is also one of the, say, in terms of his legacy, that legacy of of course, as a teacher he was charismatic, but he didn't use that charisma for his own personal benefit or personal aggrandizement. He was always trying to get the community to take responsibility for itself. The monastic community, the monks community, the nuns community was set up so that they were had to not just be deferring to him all the time, but learning how to take on the training and guidance of the others. And that was, I think that was something that was quite unique. And that's probably one of the reasons why, say, to this day, there's still, I'll say it's been 28 years since Ajahn Chah passed away. And then prior to that, he was ill, seriously ill, for 9 or 10 years. And but still, Wat Pah Pong Monastery is still an anchor for the extended community and both the monastic communities and lay communities are still practicing, and there's a pretty solid commitment to that practice and training. So it's a I think there was a very senior administrative monk showed up at the on the last day of the ceremonies, and because they're it's on YouTube, so I was plugging in and watching from time to time, and they're he was given he hadn't been before in his capacity as this senior administrative monk, and so there was a kind of review of what had been happening there, and but then also that the numbers of people who there was over 1,000 monks, and I'm not sure how many nuns. I'm not sure how. I can't remember, but it would have been many thousands of lay people, and they're living, practicing, and gathering to listen to teachings. But there was, I think it was 346 branch monasteries in Thailand and 20 overseas. So it's not that sort of the Ajahn dies and everything falls apart, but it's like the structures were in place for people to take responsibility and continue practice and training. And I think, of course, that's one of the great legacies of the Buddha himself, is that say, like on the actual deathbed of the Buddha, as he's laying sick and ill and about to pass away, and Ananda asks, who's going to be the kind of the successor, who's going to lead the community, and the Buddha was very emphatic, saying, even when I was alive, it's not that I've been doing this personally. It's this teaching and this training that is to be your leader. He didn't appoint a person as a successor. It wasn't put into a personal way. It was put into say, a system. These teachings that have been, and in the time of the Buddha, they were heard, they were repeated, they were memorized, and then oral transmission. And similarly for the discipline and the training and the ways of training, and the word in Pali is sikha, and sikhapada. These are trainings and educating, learning, so that having these structures for learning and studying and educating and training ourselves. And we're fortunate enough to receive this legacy from the Buddha, the teaching and the ways of training, the ways of practice, and they're over millennia. Then they have been put to the test. They've been put into practice, and people have consistently experienced the fruits of that practice. And then, from time to time you get exceptional teachers like Ajahn Chah, who are a good example of the fruits of the practice. But the essence is really the practice itself. The teachings that we can reflect on, the ways of practice that we can train in, the ways of structuring and ordering our life, whether we're monastics or whether we're lay people, and we can be committing ourselves to aspects of training body, speech, and mind, because that's the foundation of the Buddha's awakening and the Buddha's enlightenment, is just that human action, human speech, and human mind. Here we are, having taken birth, and we have these bodies and minds, and we can use them to torture ourselves and make ourselves a pain in the butt for others, but that's not a great aspiration. But there's the alternative, the possibility of really recognizing that we have the possibility of learning and training ourselves to be peaceful and to be discerning and to have wisdom. So that it's just internalizing it, bringing that in, and encouraging ourselves. So even if they're, they say like a commemoration of somebody like Ajahn Chah, it's not just some sort of exaltation, but is a reminder of our possibility and to our capability, and to encourage ourselves to pick it up and train with it. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.